Hi guys, welcome back to SuperSteel Gaming. This is Stiller with you here, and I am super excited to get into today's video. Now, today's video is going to be a little bit different. In fact, this is going to be a completely different video than I would say anything I have done before to this point. So, most of our videos, as you know, and if you don't know, most of our videos are basically around us playing the game or talking about something happening in the game, etc., etc. But what I want to do today is discuss a few tips for newer players and a little bit of a guide for a player coming in that will at least help them, move into Enlisted and have a better time. One of the things that a lot of the well-informed YouTubers and Enlisted people in the community are starting to realize is that Enlisted is having a little bit of a retention issue. And I do intend to actually release a video talking a little bit about that, but in this particular instance, I want to spend some time talking about, how players that are in the game, or if you are a new player coming into the game, how to have more fun and honestly to be able to go up against some of the pros. Okay guys, quick disclaimers. One, this is nothing official. This is completely my opinions, of course, and I'm just putting something out to you guys that I think could be beneficial to newer players. And for me, this completely comes from my own personal experiences, my own understandings, and my own playthrough of the game. Okay, so just to quickly explain to everybody who I'm targeting here, this video is targeted for newer players, preferably newer players with limited first-person shooter skills, especially any type of historical first-person shooter skills. I know we all sometimes get a few from like a fantasy game or whatever, but this is for a overall rookie player with limited experience within the gaming world, but does have an understanding of controls and layout and things of that nature. So I do want to quickly explain that these tips aren't going to take you from rookie to pro overnight. In fact, all this is going to do is get you started on the right path. And the truth is, the only thing that's going to get you to that pro level is experience, practicing, and grinding through the campaigns. But starting out well and having a good springboard into the world of Enlisted makes that journey a lot easier and a lot more conquerable for a player, because honestly, when you step in, it can be a bit overwhelming. So the overall point of this video and goal of this video is when you step away, you'll kind of have an idea and be able to formulate a plan to allow yourself to step into Enlisted, to step into this game, or if you have been playing Enlisted and you're just a little bit lost, to step back into the game and to have as much fun as possible and take it to the next level. So guys, starting out right, I had a very difficult time figuring out how to record this section, but I think this is the best way. So I'm going to give you guys 4 very important tips for doing a good start in Enlisted and getting off on the right foot. First, make sure you've done the tutorial. Second, look into the campaigns. Take some time to figure out which campaign you want to do. So that is a very, very important thing to do. You have to make sure you understand what campaign you want to do versus a campaign you don't want to do. Some of the ways you can do that is by looking at the terrains. I'm not going to go into all the different terrains and biomes in the maps, but just make sure you, even if you just go to custom matches, you can still get a picture of them and you just kind of look through them and you can kind of see what different things are different things. And you can also look at each campaign specific maps and custom matches so you can really understand what you're dealing with. Next, make sure to look through the technologies. Make sure you understand what technologies you're interested in, what technologies you think are cool. And that is a very important thing to do. And also very equally important is that you understand where the technologies you're interested in are. If you like all the technology, you're fine. But let's say you have two guns you're interested in, but they're at the very end of the tech tree. Well, if you want to grind through that entire campaign to do that, that's fine. But you do have to understand you're going to spend during that grind basically no time with those weapons. So you just kind of have to understand that. Don't get it in for don't go into that campaign for a weapon that you're basically not going to be able to use until the end of it. All right, number 3. Third tip I would like to throw out to you guys is when playing Enlisted, make sure you understand the factions you're playing. Now, sometimes factions don't matter in certain games. They're all basically the same, they just have different colors and slightly different weapons. In this game, that is not how it works. So for example, Normandy Axis does not have the same weapons as Normandy allies. Their weapons are not only completely different, they're also, in my opinion, not as good. So, obviously, you may have a different opinion, but you just need to make sure you understand that factions are very important to look into. And finally, number 4. When jumping into a battle, don't be worried about how good you're doing the first couple of battles. Just get yourself acquainted with the weapons. And honestly, before choosing any campaign to grind out, because that is a pretty big investment, I would suggest looking through and playing one battle in all the campaigns. I would even suggest for the first 15 to 20 battle levels in a single campaign, that is the only campaign you do. Because if you do multiple campaigns with because they all have a slightly or drastically different playstyle depending on the weapons they're using, you can handicap yourself in your main one trying to enjoy another one. But if you get really set in one, you can flip-flop a little bit easier. So it's very important to make sure that you at least get some experience in one where you can really come back to it and make points. For me, I always like to have one that I can make points off of, and for me that's Normandy. But make sure you have one that you're really good at, or at least you have competency in, and then you can move on to other campaigns. Alright, jumping in to Enlisted can be overwhelming. And in this next section, I want to talk a lot about just some things you can do to make your experience better. And also can help you have a little bit more fun when it comes to playing against pro and higher level players. Okay guys, I'm going to give you 8 tips on things that will help you on the battlefield. Tip number 1. When going up against pros, go for their AIs. Do not go for the pro. If you see the guy running around jumping and shooting everything, don't take your bolt action rifle and shoot at him. He's just going to turn around, blow your head off, and keep going. You want to be shooting at the slow, kind of dumb AIs that are just laying around or walking around aimlessly, shooting at everything. At that point, you'll have an easier time taking them down. If you come up on a player, or really anybody, AI or player, and you can get the jump on them, go for it. But if not, don't do it. Tip number 2, grenade spam. If you're a newbie, I know all the pros hate this, but if you're a newbie, one of the best ways to get points is grenade spam. Throw grenades, do things like that, but do not handicap yourself to throwing grenades because you easily can do that where you only want to do that. Number 3, taking out tanks. If you don't have a rocket launcher and you don't have a grenade, explosion pack grenade, don't go after the tank. If you do have an explosion pack, which is what you'll have at first, you want to hold the grenade for 5 seconds because on a fuse grenade it actually waits and it's ticking up on the fuse. And then release it. Make sure far enough so when it does blow up, it doesn't kill you. Let it land. I would suggest let it land on the back of the tank or right under the tank, and hopefully that will blow it up for you. With a rocket launcher, there are certain weak points, and if you hit, it'll blow the tank up instantly. I've never been super good at that, but you do want to look for those once you ever do unlock a rocket launcher of some type. Alright, number 3. When it comes to going up against people with high caliber weapons, like an M2 carbine versus a Kar 98, the thing is, you're at a disadvantage. And if you don't have really long range on your side where their weapon isn't quite as accurate because it's spreading as it fires really fast, you don't even want to go up against them. They're going to be able to outgun you unless they're just happen to be off in that moment or they happen to be an AI. And even then, AI can still easily get you with a very high caliber weapon. Submachine guns can be great for combating these guys because they tend to be a little bit more accurate and you can get some hits while they're missing a few rounds. But as you start, you'll only have one submachine gun in I think every campaign. So you want to make sure to think that out. Number 4, when it comes to playing against players that are far above you, you want to make sure that you're not afraid to die. Look, just respawn, just switch to your other character, but if you can get a kill, even if it results in your death, at least at first, that will help you speed through the campaigns and if you're trying to play protective and balanced the whole time. If you do only have one squad member left, I would suggest you play a little bit more balanced with that one, especially if you're getting really close to the end of the match. Alright, number 5, and I can't stress this particular tip enough. Squad loadout. Okay, you will obviously have certain squad loadouts that are already there, of course, and you can't change those. But in your initial squads, when you're going through the battles and getting upgrade points, be very selective. One, think about the future. Okay, don't say, well, I'm not going to have that for a while. That's true, but you'll probably have that before you have another squad to build up. So I would suggest you make sure to think out what classes you want. Because on the battlefield, having a good class in the right moment is so important. Having an assaulter to clear in a bunker is so important. Opposed to have riflemen. Even though it can be done, it's just way easier to do it as an assaulter. So there's certain things you want to make sure you emphasize and make sure you know what classes you like the best. If you like sniper, make sure to put a sniper in your thing, not a bunch of riflemen. So it's very important to think that out. Number 6. Now guys, this is something I have to tell all newbies, all newer players. Play the objective. I understand that you get afraid to die, you get afraid you're going to lose. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't get a ton of kills, you're helping your team win. Because when you're there supporting the pro and higher level players, it allows us to be able to take the points easier because the enemy is not able to focus all of their resources on us alone. They also have fire that can take them down. The other thing is, don't hang back. I see countless newer players hunkered down behind something with their Springfield taking cheap shots like 500 yards away. Don't do that. You want to be up close and personal. You don't want to be dumb by going up against somebody with a machine gun at really close range, but you do want to be able to be in the fight, helping your team and helping to push the objective. Number 7. Don't worry about battle rank. The new Burning Sky update brought in the new battle rank system. Don't worry about it. The thing is, it has so much to do with whether your team wins or loses that until you get to a pro level where you're able to make battle hero every single battle, it's going to be more difficult to push it anyway, so don't worry about it as much. The only thing you want to focus on doing is winning the battle, not leaving the battle, and not accidentally setting your controller or not messing with your mouse for 2 minutes. As long as you do those 3 things, don't worry about battle rank. And finally, number 8. This is a tip I want to throw out to you guys. I learned from just countless times of losing and losing and losing and losing. And this tip is simple. Look, you're going to find yourself in situations where you're going to go up against a player that for whatever reason they're just better. Okay? Don't get discouraged. Don't stop playing the battle or quit. Just find a different spot to fight or a different class to try out. I know that seems like a pretty low level tip, but it's just one of those things that I think it's important to understand, because yes, we can all find that one player that just annoys us so much, but guys, truly, don't worry about it. There's always going to be one. No matter how good you get, there's always going to be somebody better. So don't get discouraged over losing a single battle. Okay, guys, so I want to throw out 3 tips that I wish I would have known. 3 very important and just good things to know that I wish I would have known when I started playing Enlisted. First, like I said, holding a grenade that has a fuse before throwing it gives the enemy less time to run away. It will, though, before you freak out, throw it before it blows you up. Now, the only thing with that is make sure not to be around a bunch of people, because sometimes they'll throw it, it'll bounce off something, and then it'll blow up instantly. Alright, number 2. This is something I really wish I would have known, and it's just the simple thing of being able to mount your weapon. Now, that's a very important thing to do, because sometimes, especially in defensive situations, you'll, not realize that, no, so cut. Being able to mount your weapon. Because the thing is, a lot of times in defensive situations, there's a lot of enemies coming in at once, and you only have so many rounds. And if you're off because of recoil, it can seriously mess up your capability to put down large amounts of enemies at once. So being able to find a spot that's open and mounting your weapon is very important. Also, just a quick tip, when explosions are going on, always make sure to lay down, face down, whether it's a bomber strike in Stalingrad, whether it's an artillery strike near you, whatever it is, get in a small corner, lay down, and put your face to the ground. And a lot of times it'll actually protect you from explosive damage. Finally, this is something, guys, that I cannot possibly stress enough. Rocket plane, rocket plane. If you unlock a plane with rockets, use it. Now, even if you could care less about the Air Force, you can make so many kills off just suicide rocket. Basically, you may even see it a couple times in the footage here, where I take my advanced rocket plane, and of course that is an advanced rocket plane, I fly over the position, or a position where I know the enemy is. I use my machine guns to see if I can hit anything to kind of get a general idea of where anybody is. And then I unleash all my rockets, and obviously I have one bomb, you may not, onto that spot. I will say the A-20 in Normandy is the one plane to consider making a change on from rockets, just because it does have 400 or 500 pounders, but still, rockets are just critical. So if you have a campaign that A, comes with a rocket plane immediately, or has a plane with rockets, always switch to that one. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I just want to say that there's not a lot of videos out there right now for newer players in Enlisted. We have older ones, but from back in the day where we have some guides, but most of those don't even feature the new updates, and the longer they are out there, the less applicable they are to the game right now. So I wanted to put something out there that is newer, and though it's not perfect, hopefully will help you guys do a little bit better in modern Enlisted. The Pacific campaign is apparently planned, so we also will have that one coming in and any changes that makes. So we'll see how that affects this video. Guys, as I said in the beginning, these tips are not going to take you from rookie to pro. All they're going to do is make your experience more fun and hopefully help you have a little bit funner time playing the game. I know when I played several games, one of the first things I did was I was looking for something out there that would help me get an idea of some things that would actually just make my play experience better, because I didn't know what I was doing. And I think putting out a video like this hopefully will help any of you newer players, or any just players that they just forget things, or you haven't been on here a while and you're coming back in and you're a little bit bamboozled. So hopefully this stuff will give you a hand, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you in the next one. This is Stiller signing out. See you on the battlefield, soldier.